Andrew McCart, iFLTV, and I've got to say there's never a time I'm not delighted to be joined by Mr. Adam Smith. Adam, we've already had a little quick chat alongside Sophie Alish, one of your fighters, so I won't do the pleasantries on how you're doing and all that. Just talk to me about this young lassie.
Sophie's fantastic. I'm really, really excited about her future. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know her this year. Working with Summit Sports, she joined us, which is fantastic that she's got faith in Ollie, Duncan, Oakley and I, and we're going to do everything we can to help her alongside Wasserman, who obviously are a huge promotional outfit. Big deal, Channel 5, and some spotlight for her. But most importantly, Sophie needs to get back in the ring. She's been out for a year and a half. She last fought here against Gemma Rueg. Gemma told me she's the best fighter she's been in with. Sophie was a fantastic amateur. She was a great tennis player before she was even a fighter. And she's really dedicated. She really wants this. She's only just turned 23, so there's plenty of time. She's a featherweight. It's a fantastic division with Sky and Raven and Caris and so many great women out there. But it's one step at a time. She needs some ring activity. She's going to get that on Friday night. Different opponents over the course of the next year or so, and I think we're going to be knocking on the door for world title opportunities back end of 25, early 26. But she's talented beyond. She's skillful. She's got power. She's got tenacity. She's brilliant in a ring. She's fantastic to watch in training, and she's just a great young woman. She's comes from a fantastic family. She lives in a beautiful place in Mallorca. She's got two sisters. She's got a younger sister by a couple of years, and then she's got a baby sister who's only, I think, about 18, 19 months, who's an absolute sweetheart, and she's almost like a second mum to her. They're very, very close, and yeah, she's an artist. She loves drawing. She's a very interesting young woman, Sophie Alish, and I think she brings a smile to everyone when they meet her. Her English is fantastic. She's great, and I think she's got everything. She's got a huge following on social media. But I think the most important thing is that she needs to get back in a ring. She needs to box. She needs to be doing what she loves, and she needs to make people aware that she's there. She's on this featherweight scene, and she's a danger to a lot of young fighters out there. I think she's going to be a world champion in the future, and I'm hoping she'll be just a massive inspiration to other people. You know, she looks up to Katie Taylor and the likes. I hope that people look up to Sophie Alish in 10 years' time and think, wow, she's really done something. And yeah, I think she's going to be fantastic for this sport.
I'm glad you mentioned Katie Taylor and of the likes like Clarissa Shields. Now, we know these women, Terry Harpers as well, Savannah Marshalls. These women have been flying the flag for so long now. It seems like for a good few years. And we need that young crop of young women come through. Sky Nicholson's definitely there, but when you get this young crop of women to take that mantle off them, do you know what I mean? That pay-per-view star that we used to say, who's the next pay-per-view star coming through? But is Sophie Alish, is she that next Katie Taylor? I know she's going to be her own fighter, but is she that next big name in female boxing? Boxing in general, really.
I certainly think there's the potential to be, but of course you've got to get the results. You've got to have the immense dedication. You've got to have that talent. You've got to have that mixture, and you've got to have a little bit of luck as well along the way. And I think she's been unlucky because she's been out of the ring for a long time. But the luck, I guess, or the lucky part is that she's really young still. And you know, Katie is late 30s, and look what she's doing still. And Sophie's only just turned 23. I also work with Carl Davis, who's the same age. You know, these are youngsters in the sport. Carl's attempting to be 9-0 next week in Nottingham. Sophie's attempting to be 10-0 on Friday night, and they're both unbeaten. We've also got Naralda Yumeri fighting in London on Friday, so it's a busy time for Summit Sports. But I do believe Sophie could be that next star. You know, Katie is such a great role model, a great ambassador out of the ring as well as in the ring. She's done everything, and I mean it, as an amateur and a professional. She'll never ever be matched, I don't think, certainly from this side of the water. Obviously Clarissa Shields believes she's the GOAT, and yeah, they're very difficult to compare. They're both incredible in their own way, but you mentioned that sort of the older guard, I guess, or the more senior guard, and the Amanda Serranos, the Savannah Marshalls, the Terry Harpers, the Tasha Jonases. Great to see Tash back in a ring in a few weeks' time, and of course Lauren Price coming through, and Lauren and Caris Artingsaw who obviously is in the same weight division as Sophie. Sky Nicholson, I think, has been fantastic. She's such a good spokeswoman for the sport. She's a brilliant fighter to watch. I think she's done wonders for boxing. Raven Chapman as well. I'm close to Raven. Raven's another terrific ambassador for boxing. She's a great character and she's a really good fighter. So I think there's plenty for Sophie ahead. I was with George Groves yesterday. We were talking about Froch and Eubank and De Gale, and you almost need a dance partner. And I wonder who Sophie's will be. You know, will it be a Sky Nicholson? Will it be a Karis Hardings? Well, we don't know yet. She's got so much respect for those fighters. She doesn't like calling out names. She just wants to concentrate on what she's doing. That's what I like about Soph, that she's really, really focused on her path, her journey, and there's a way to go yet. We've got to have a really busy 2025. I think 2026 will maybe potentially be the time where we're starting to think about world titles, but there's a long way to go between now and then. We know how unpredictable boxing is. There could be injuries, there could be losses, there could be things that go wrong. We know how difficult each opponent will be. We expect Sophie to overcome the next few foes before she goes in for a world title, but you can't look beyond Friday. We're looking at Friday as a massive night for her. It's a night where she's back under the lights. It's been a year and a half plus out. She's had a fantastic coach in Andy, fantastic training camp. I've been over to Germany. It's been brilliant. We're all around her. We're all supporting her. But she's got to go and do it under the lights. And she needs to have a great performance on Friday. And then let's see where we are. But 2025, I expect to be a really busy year. There's two things, right? A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, as she said before. She's always happy. But a busy fighter is a dangerous fighter as well. So if she's happy, she's busy, and she's got the right team around her, we're going places.
Well, you're behind her, Adam, and that's the right team. And yeah, I'm excited. I've seen her on social media before I even started following her, before I even knew she was a professional boxer. She would do all that fast pad work, the tennis ball thing, and this and the likes thing, and you're taken aback by it. And sometimes you need the product outside of the ring, the social media following as well, to build that brand, to build that. The tickets, your ticket sales as well. You need to be able to sell tickets, but you also need to fight in the ring. And it seems like Sophie's got it all.
Absolutely, and Sophie's dad and her family and her work really hard on the social media side as well, because it's a business, this, of course, and it's important to have that following. She's got a huge amount of Instagram followers, right, eye-watering, but she needs to get the eyeballs on her in the ring as well. That's really important. We need lots of clips of her great action in the next year as well to add to that pot, because I think that, yeah, she's fantastic out of the ring, but she's also fantastic in the ring, and that's what we need to be seeing on a regular basis. But yeah, it's there. The following is there. I want to see her really build a fan base in many ways here. I think she can become a real star in Britain, but she's also obviously from Germany, like you've been in Germany for much of your life, and there's a huge sort of boxing synergy over there. She lives in a beautiful place in Mallorca, so there's lots of different ways of going at this story, but the most important thing is that she's dedicated, she's talented, she's a fantastic young woman, and that's what I'm really proud of her. Whatever happens in the ring over the next 5 to 10 years, I know that she's going to be a great woman in life. She's going to be a fantastic role model for young athletes, but I expect her results to be as impressive as she is outside of the ring. So I think if you put all that together into a package, you've got someone who maybe in 10, 15 years' time will be talked about and like inspired by the youngsters like Katie and Tasha and Savannah and Clarissa and Michaela and Alicia and all the great ladies that are around our sport are at the moment. But there's a long way to go, and it's one step at a time, and Sophie knows that.
Adam, I'm excited about it, and I'm glad you mentioned about me living in Germany. Now, what did you make of my German? Did it take you aback a little bit when you heard me speak German there?
I mean, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. I'm amazed that Sophie can speak English as well as she can, right? I can't speak German and the Spanish. I mean, she's going to be multilingual, and that's, Vladimir Klitschko talking, Daniel Altmaier, tennis player, used to look after, spoke 4 or 5 languages. It's so important, right? In today's, world, it's great. So hearing your German was really cool, and I didn't know that story, that part of your life. So that's brilliant. You can tell us more over a coffee later.
Definitely, I'll hold you to that, Adam. Now, away from sort of this, and I'll go to you, because we know you being the voice of boxing, the commentary for a long time, but now you took that managerial role with Summit Sports and you're bringing on young fighters, and that brings in itself a different side to the sport, which maybe you weren't used to, and maybe you're still learning yourself. So how are you finding this sort of managerial with the fighters and so forth?
That's a really good question, actually. When I saw Sophie upstairs earlier and we sort of reunited, she was holding her fight outfit, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll hold that for her. So it's very much it's a new role for me, you know, checking her in and learning what needs to sort of go through the process of the press duties and the weigh-in, of course, and accreditation for the night, and make sure everything's okay. And it's not what I'm used to, but I've got to learn on the job, right? I've been the other side for so long. It's really nice, actually. I always say that fighters are the most important, they're the epicenter of everything in our business. We're lucky enough to be doing what we do because of the fighters, and they're still my heroes and heroines. They still line up on my door, on my walls. You know, they're so important to the culture of sports entertainment, of broadcasting, of media. It's the athletes that are the ones that I'm always in awe of. And yeah, I worked with Sky Scholars for a while with Savannah Marshall, with Daniel Altmaier. So for me, it's a privilege to be working this side, to be helping and guiding a young athlete, and somebody I believe is not only very talented, but is a lovely human being, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, I'm learning as we go. It's Wednesday of fight week, and I'll tell you by Friday night after the fight how it's been. I'm sure it'll be an eye-opener in many ways, but I'm sure it'll be smooth. It's Wasserman. I know Kalle and Nissa well. I'm sure everything will go fantastically. We've got a great hotel here. The team are happy, and the most important thing is Sophie's happy.
Definitely, and I'm glad you mentioned about the fighters being the heroes. Now, I'm going to segue into this because one of my heroes growing up was Mike Tyson, and I think you know where I'm going with this, Adam. You've been in the sport long enough. I wouldn't want to guess how long you've been in the sport, but I'm guess you've covered Mike Tyson back in the day, and so I'm going back to last Friday against Jake Paul. I didn't watch the fight. I didn't fall into the trap. It was I kind of half knew what was going to happen, if I'm going to be sort of honest, but yeah, I wanted to just get your thoughts on it all, with Mike Tyson coming back 58, fighting a young man in Jake Paul and so forth, and just get your thoughts on it.
Very, very hard to watch. That's what springs to mind. It was something I didn't not want to watch. Actually, I wanted to see it. I was on TalkSport the next night, and it was important for me to not only see the Jake Paul Mike Tyson exhibition fight, whatever they called it, but also to see Barrios and Ramos and Katie and Amanda. There were some really, really good fights on the card. It was a sparkling event. It was interesting to see what Netflix did with it from a broadcasting point of view. There were one or two glitches along the way, as you expect with that sort of traffic, I think. But I thought Netflix, you know, it was interesting. It was a new thing for them to get into sport. And look, what Jake Paul and the business side of it is very impressive, and I have no problem at all. I love the Misfits. I love, you know, the KSI, Tommy Furies. I have no issues. I mean, Tommy and Darren Till yesterday, it's madness. My daughter and I went to the Tommy Fury KSI fight. You know, she wanted to go and see Tommy Fury, right? And that's great. There's an entertainment and there's eyeballs on boxing for different reasons. As long as it's well matched, that's the most important thing. The issue that I had with last week was that it wasn't well matched. You can't have a 58-year-old man in a boxing ring, in my opinion. Okay, George Foreman won the world heavyweight title at 45, a real one-off. Bernard Hopkins dedicated himself to the sport as soon as he got out of jail, like unbelievably, which is why he had a prolonged career, I think, as a world middleweight champion. But Mike Tyson's peak was 36 years ago. You know, he was a hero to me. I remember where I was when he beat Michael Spinks. I remember where I was when he lost to Buster Douglas in Tokyo. I was in an American university at the time, and I was at a party, and there were huge NFL players, you know, around, and they were in tears that Tyson had lost. Yeah, you're talking 1990 times. You're talking a long, long time ago. And of course, there were other great moments he had after that. The fights with Frank Bruno and Holyfield and all the others, and Lennox Lewis at the end, and some great knockouts in the middle, and eating Lennox's children and knocking out Lou Savarese and having fun with Brian Nielsen out in Denmark. Lots of great memories of Tyson. But, you know, I spent some time with Lennox Lewis a week or two ago on his tour, and this is a long time ago. He was retired 20 years ago. It's a young man or a young woman's sport. I just don't think Mike should have been there. I have huge respect for him to get into that sort of shape and take on a challenge like that. But the mind and the body don't work the same way. And like you, I expected the result to be what it was, that Jake Paul would win on points in a sort of controlled affair. And I'm glad that Jake didn't put his foot on the pedal in the last 4 or 5 rounds, because it got very, very difficult to even observe, I thought, after 2 rounds. It was just a shame, and I just wanted both of them to come out healthy, and these things will pass, and we move on. Jake Paul moves on. Everyone seems to want a bit of that money.
I want to fight him.
Of course, when he's generating that sort of cash. And it's interesting, it's intriguing, isn't it, how far he can go and who he can beat. So that story I'd love to see evolve. I just think, I hope Mike then takes his money now, and if he wants a challenge in his life, he enters the jungle, or he does something else like that.
One final one that I'll end on this. Quite a touchy subject. I watched Chris Eubank's interview with Coogan. I don't know if you saw it, and he mentioned about how he wants his dad back, and he thinks the only way that he gets his dad back is if the Conor Benn fight's made and he can send a text message. And it's quite an emotional from Chris saying that he wants his dad back. And you know yourself, we talked about the mental gate side of the sport and stuff, and I just want to get your opinion on this, and the hope that, do you hope that one day they can reconcile? Obviously you do, reconcile and bring that father-son unity back and finish Chris Eubank Jr.'s career together?
Of course I do. Father and sons in boxing is, wow, it's a huge subject. I wrote a book on it many years ago about families in boxing, and fathers and sons is a very difficult one. Enzo and Joe Calzaghe, a lot of people said that Joe shouldn't have been trained by Enzo after a few fights. He didn't know what he was doing. Well, look what happened, right? They went from start to finish. They had an incredible bond. Sometimes it works out brilliantly. Floyd and Floyd Sr., that was difficult. Roger came in. It's hard. We have Sophie and Michael Alish, and the father wants the best for the daughter at all times, but also knows that they need experts to train and to play their part as well. And maybe Chris Sr. enjoyed the limelight with Chris Jr. Maybe that was part of the issue, that it became about him rather than his son. I'm sure Senior just wanted to have fun with it, and maybe it didn't gel as well as it should have done. It's difficult if you're the son of a legend. We talked about Mike Tyson. Chris Eubank was also one of my heroes. I loved him. I loved the theatre. I loved the pantomime. I loved it all. I thought he was a great fighter. It's always difficult following the footsteps anyway. Ask Campbell Hatton, who desperately wants to make it as a fighter. It's really hard when you've got a father who's been so good. And Nigel, Ben, and Chris Eubank Sr., they're legends of our sport. And there's no way really that Chris and Conor can be as great as them. They were at a time where it was terrestrial television. It was different. Millions and millions were tuning in. It was a different era, and it's very hard to compare eras. I just obviously would love Chris Senior and Junior to reconcile. Of course you want your dad there. Conor and Nigel. But I think maybe there are reasons why fathers can sometimes get too close. So you have to know you have to want the best for your son or daughter in there. And I think sometimes the best is to take a little step back. Nigel did that more with Conor, and maybe Chris Senior didn't. Maybe that's the problem. But they've had a family tragedy in losing the lovely brother that he had, Sebastian. And I know Emily, I know the family. They're great, the Eubanks, and I'd love to see them all together. I love the Conor Benn, Chris Eubank fight. I know my friend and colleague Simon Jordan doesn't, but I do. I think it's a huge fight.
I do.
I think it's a huge fight for the casual fans. I think we need that at this time. I think we need Fury Joshua. I think we need Eubank and Ben, because as much as we're always going to watch boxing, we need casual fans to engage, and I think it's a huge one for next year. And I would love nothing better than Chris Eubank Jr. and Senior to be reconciled, for Nigel and Conor to be part of it, and we go back down memory lane, and we have the needle between the two, and Conor's that sort of Nigel. He's got his dad in him. He's all heart. He's all raw, and Chris is different, and he tries to play the games. He's very smart in the way he sort of moves around boxing, and You know, they're different characters, and we love polar opposites, and you know they will blend, and it will make for an incredible story, and maybe 2-3 fights. It'll be fantastic. But yeah, I really felt what Chris was saying in that interview, and I haven't seen Senior in a while. But I would, if he was here, I would say, yeah, do everything you can to be back with your son, and I hope that they can make that happen, because family is so important, and especially after what they've been through with Sebastian, I think you know the closer they are, the better. But obviously, I'm not in that clan, in the family, and it's up to them to do it. But yeah, as an outsider, I'd love to see it reconciled and made up, and maybe that was a cry from the heart from Junior, and it'd be lovely to see them back together, wouldn't it?
Definitely, I wholeheartedly agree with you there, Adam. And I think, oh, there they are. Yep, they want to go to Durham. Your lovely daughter and a friend want to go to Durham, so I'll let you get on. And thank you so much. And I'll see you at the weigh-in tomorrow, Adam. Appreciate your time as always. Thank you.